Capturing the city of Vienna had long been a strategic aspiration of the Ottoman Empire, due to the control the city had over the Danube and the overland trade routes to Germany and the eastern Mediterranean. During the years preceding the siege, the Ottoman Empire, under the Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa Pasha, undertook extensive logistical preparations. This included the repair and establishment of roads and bridges leading into the Holy Roman Empire and its logistical centers. They also moved up ammunition, cannons, and other resources from all over the empire to these centers and into the Balkans. Logistically, it would have been risky or impossible to launch an invasion in August or September 1682, since a 3-month campaign would have taken the Ottomans to Vienna just as winter set in. Vienna was currently the capital city of the Holy Roman Empire, and was ruled by Emperor Leopold I. The 15-month gap between mobilization and the launch of a full-scale invasion by the Ottomans provided ample time for Vienna to prepare its defense and for Leopold to assemble an army. He also formed alliances with Poland, Venice, and Pope Innocent XI. The defensive alliance of the Holy Roman Empire with Poland was concluded in the 1683 Treaty of Warsaw, by which Leopold promised to support Sobieski if the Ottomans attacked Krakow, and in return, the Polish army would come to the relief of Vienna if it were attacked. Ottoman troops reached Belgrade by early May. They were joined by a Transylvanian army under Prince Mihail Apafi and a Hungarian force under Imre Thakali. They laid siege to Győr, and the remaining army of 150,000 moved toward the city of Vienna. After being informed of the Ottoman movements, Emperor Leopold fled Vienna for Passau with his court and 60,000 Viennese, while Charles V, Duke of Lorraine, withdrew his force of 20,000 towards Linz. The main Ottoman army arrived at Vienna on the 14th of July. The city's only defense force was now that of Count Ernst Rudiger von Starhemberg and his 15,000 men. Saxon engineer Georg Rimpler, who had been employed by the Empire to prepare for war with the Turks, began to prepare Vienna for the upcoming siege. The King of Poland, John III Sobieski, prepared a relief expedition to Vienna during the summer of 1683, honoring his obligations to the treaty, and would depart from Krakow on the 15th of August. During this time, most of Poland would be largely undefended, and taking advantage of this situation, Imre Thakali of Upper Hungary, an Ottoman vassal state, would attempt an invasion. The main Ottoman army laid siege to Vienna on the 14th of July. On the same day, Kara Mustafa sent the traditional demand that the city surrender to the Ottoman Empire. Ernst Rudiger Graf von Starhemberg, leader of the remaining 15,000 troops and 8,700 volunteers with 370 cannons, refused to comply. Only days before, he had received news of the mass slaughter at Berchtoldsdorf, a town south of Vienna, where the citizens had handed over the keys of the city after having been given a similar choice but were killed anyway. For over a month, there was a long and bitter siege with casualties in the tens of thousands. In an effort to stop the siege, the relief army of Poles and imperial forces would rush to prepare a response. Despite the multinational composition of the army and the short space of only 6 days, an effective leadership structure was established, centered around the King of Poland and his heavy cavalry. The Holy League settled the issue of payment by using all available funds from the government, loans from several wealthy bankers and noblemen, and large sums of money from the Pope. The Habsburgs and Poles also agreed that the Polish government would pay for its own troops while still in Poland, but that the emperor would fund them once they crossed into imperial territory. Troops united from all across Europe marched to the aid of Vienna. The relief force included 19,000 Austrians, 29,000 Germans, and 18,000 Poles united under the banners of the Holy Roman Empire and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Even though the Ottomans had over 150,000 men participating in the siege, the combined forces led by Kara Mustafa Pasha were less united. They faced many problems with motivation and loyalty, and struggled to prepare for the expected relief army attack. Mustafa had entrusted defense of the rear to the Khan of Crimea and his cavalry force, which numbered between 30,000 and 40,000. Their Khan refused to attack the Polish-Lithuanian relief force as it crossed the Danube on pontoon bridges, and also refused to attack them as they emerged from the Vienna woods. The Ottoman allies of Wallachia and Moldavia would also prove unreliable. On the 12th of September, the Holy League army arrived at the scene. The battle started before all units were fully deployed. At 4 a.m. on the 12th of September, the Ottoman army attacked, seeking to interfere with the deployment of Holy League troops. The Germans would be the first to counterattack. Charles of Lorraine moved forward with the Imperial army on the left and other Imperial forces in the center, and after heavy fighting and multiple Ottoman counterattacks, took several key Ottoman positions. By midday, the Imperial army had inflicted significant damage on the Ottoman forces and would come close to a breakthrough. Serban Cantacuzino was a member of the noble Greek family of Cantacuzino and was forced to fight on the side of the Ottomans. Cantacuzino and his soldiers, who secretly supported the Christian coalition, were trying to sabotage the Ottoman siege. He abandoned the bridge over the Danube on Brigiteno Island, where the Wallachians had been stationed in order to cover the left flank of the Ottoman army. Mustafa Pasha launched counterattacks with most of his forces, but held back some of the elite Janissary and Sipahi units for a simultaneous assault on the city. The Ottoman leadership had planned, but ultimately failed, to capture Vienna prior to the arrival of Sobieski's forces. Their sappers had prepared a large, final detonation under the Lobobiste to breach the walls. In total, 10 mines were set to explode, but they were located by the defenders and disarmed. In the early afternoon, a large engagement started on the other side of the battlefield as the Polish infantry advanced on the Ottoman right flank. Despite the arrival of the relief army, several Ottoman forces persisted in their attempts to breach the city's defenses, allowing Polish troops to advance on the field. By 4 p.m. the Poles had captured the village of Jerstov, which would serve as a base for their cavalry charge. The Ottoman army was in a desperate position between Polish and Imperial forces. Charles of Lorraine and John III Sobieski both decided independently to press the offensive and decisively defeat the Ottoman forces. The German forces resumed the offensive on the left front at 3:30 p.m. At first, they encountered fierce resistance and were unable to make progress. However, by 5 p.m. they had begun to advance. Imperial forces were now closing in on the central Ottoman position, and as they made preparations for a final push, the Polish cavalry began to take action. It is recorded that the Polish cavalry slowly emerged from a nearby forest to the cheers of onlooking infantry, which had been anticipating their arrival. During this action, they would begin to approach the Turkenschanz, which was now threatened by three separate forces: the Poles from the west, the Saxons and Bavarians from the northwest, and the Austrians from the north. At this point, the Ottoman vizier decided to leave this position and retreat to his headquarters in the main camp further south. However, by then many Ottoman soldiers were already leaving the battlefield. The relief army was now ready for a final push. At around 6 p.m., the Polish king ordered the cavalry to attack in 4 contingents: 3 Polish groups and 1 from the Holy Roman Empire. 18,000 horsemen charged down the hills. Sobieski led the charge at the head of 3,000 Polish heavy lancers, the Winged Hussars. It was the largest cavalry charge in history. The charge quickly broke the battle lines of the Ottomans, who were already exhausted and demoralized and would begin to retreat from the battlefield. The cavalry headed directly towards the Ottoman camps and Kara Mustafa's headquarters, while the remaining Viennese garrison sallied out of its defenses to join in the assault. Contemporary Ottoman historian Selahattin Findikli named Akka described the battle as an enormous defeat and failure for the Ottoman Empire, the most disastrous since the foundation of Ottoman statehood in 1299. The Ottomans lost at least 20,000 men during the siege, while their losses during the battle with Sobieski's forces amounted to around 15,000 dead. Casualties of the relief force under Sobieski's command were much smaller, amounting to approximately 3,500 dead and wounded, including 1,300 Poles. The 10,000-strong Viennese garrison and the civilian populace lost, due to all causes, about half of their initial number during the siege. Due to his defeat at the battle, on the 25th of December, Kara Mustafa Pasha was executed in Belgrade by hanging.